What's going on, everyone on YouTube? This is another episode of Mobile Suit Blackman, and today we are checking out the high-grade narrative Gundam with Apex equipment. Now, this is a hybrid of a vehicle and mobile armor from the movie Mobile Suit Gundam Narrative. This is a relatively recent kit. I've done a little bit of painting and detailing on it, so let's check it out. So if you are not familiar with this kit, I'll give you a brief overview. The Mobile Suit, the Narrative Gundam, is featured in the film Mobile Suit Gundam Narrative, which is essentially a sequel to the Gundam Unicorn OAV. And in the beginning of this film, we are introduced to this Mobile Suit, the Narrative Gundam, as configured with this Apex equipment, and it's very exciting. We realize very quickly on, without spoiling the film, that the Narrative Gundam is in hot pursuit of the Unicorn Gundam Phoenix. This is the first time we see the Phoenix as well. And without much information, we find out that this is a prototype unit that is designed for testing the new Gundam. So this is very, very old equipment at this point, the Narrative Gundam. They've retrofitted this Apex equipment to try to capture the Unicorn Gundam, and that's quite an exciting way to see hot pursuit of the Phoenix Gundam by a very old and reconfigured mobile suit. If you go looking for the Narrative Gundam in model form, it does come in a few flavors other than the Apex equipment, which is a standard release. You will also find the B-Pax equipment as well as C-Pax equipment, as well as just a Narrative Gundam with the Psycho Shard coming out of its crevices. This is my favorite loadout. It's obviously very impressive with the large claws protruding and the extra added propulsion. Out of box, the kit suffers the same issue that most mobile armors suffer, which is that the kit comes molded in mostly white plastic. I did a bit of painting as well as heavy decal work to really, as I say, bring the kit to life from its out-of-box form. You'll see that there is a set of parts with a bit of a very, very light and grayish blue, as well as a dark bluish, navy greenish color mixed in. That was simply done to honor the original intention of the kit, which is mostly molded in white and given a white color scheme. Basically, any painting done on this kit was to add an accent color to bring out the most of the mostly white and blue parts that were included in box. The real joy came in picking and choosing and placing the water slide decals used on this kit. I ordered a set of custom Delphi decal water slides for this kit. They make specifically a high-grade RX-9 and Apex set of decals that work perfectly. The problem was that there was no marking guide, so I got to be creative and analyze the slides carefully to see where the best placement would be. They include a large number of decals, and that's partially because some will be for the mobile suit and a lot more will be for the mobile armor. I also added on a few extra decals that were kind of generic caution markings and some specific to the Dendrobium. I had a few that were literally labeled large claw that were just perfect for the claws. If you look carefully at the narrative Gundam itself, you'll notice that I didn't take the time to decal the legs, and that's because the legs are essentially hidden forever once the mobile suit is combined with the Apex equipment. The way the Apex equipment works with the mobile suit is really just it's worn like a pair of pants. The thrusters attach at the lower leg and are covered by a small piece of armor once you set them in. After that, the large claws are attached to a backpack that is added on to the rear waist section of the narrative Gundam, and they are held by its manipulators essentially to control the large claws, so to speak. Unlike some of the other mobile armors or support vehicles, there really aren't many ways to display this. Really, there's only one way to display the narrative Gundam and Apex equipment, and that is as it is shown here. There are parts for having the claws face outwards rather than inwards, but I like the pose of inwards as it is attempting to capture the Unicorn Gundam. There are large beam sabers included that you can insert into the ends of the large claw arms. I thought that it was a bit overkill, but they are similar to perfect grade, if not the same beam sabers as perfect grade beam saber effect parts or with the Dendrobium. You'll also notice if you look carefully that I did not panel line the kit. That's just an issue of personal preference. I typically will panel line the mobile armors, but because this one is mostly molded in white, it gives me a feeling of looking too busy. There also weren't a tremendous amount of areas to panel line. There is a lot of surface detail and raised and recessed areas, but not quite as many panel line as some other larger mobile armors or vehicles. The real joy in this kit, quite frankly, is the size and shelf presence. For about $60 or the price of 3 high grades, you're getting something that is more akin to either a master grade or potentially a full-on mobile armor. One of the joys that I really got out of this kit is that Gundam narrative is set in space, and a big theme of the film is motion. There's a lot of motion. The Phoenix Gundam is incredibly fast. The Apex equipment is an attempt to get it moving as fast as the Phoenix. And when you pose this kit with the Phoenix or with other flying or space type mobile suits, you really can start to get a sense of motion and frantic movement. If you have other unicorn based kits in your collection, definitely take the time to consider looking for this and adding and painting this in, especially if you have a 1/144th scale Unicorn Gundam Phoenix of any type. It's very cool to see them together. It's almost as though they should have paired them in some form. Both the Apex equipment and the narrative Gundam itself are very sturdy. It was an efficient build and a great change of pace. The narrative Gundam, as I mentioned earlier, is the prototype framework for working on the new Gundam. So the stature is a little bit bigger than most mobile suits. It stands similarly to the new Gundam and the Unicorn Gundam in terms of size and scale, so that's exciting. The joints are solid. The kit looks very simple but is still very well done, and definitely could use a bit of detailed paint and decals to really give it some oomph. The narrative Gundam Apex equipment specifically can probably be closely compared to the GN Arms and the Kutan Type 3 booster. They are all very different flavors of a similar design concept and motif, but I think that the Apex brings a very different silhouette with the arms extending so far out and being so thin. My overall thoughts on this kit is that it is a must buy for high grades, and I don't say that often, but I can understand not being a fan of a unicorn or unicorns in general and liking this design. I can understand not liking the Mobile Suit Gundam narrative film and still enjoying this model kit. So definitely, if you're looking for a larger piece, a larger high grade, a potentially fun paint project that's worth it but not a master grade or a perfect grade, consider this. It's affordable if you are in the market for master grades or high grades. This is not going to break the bank like a perfect grade, and it's still very fun to have on the shelf and look impressive among the rest of your collection. That's it. Thanks for watching, everyone. Please remember to like and subscribe if you've made it this far. Definitely helps the channel out, and I'll be here with the next video soon.